Welcome to No Nonsense Nonprofits. Hi, I'm Sandy Ray, founder of Sandra E. Ray CPA, where we alleviate financial headaches so that you can create a bigger impact. Today, we're going to talk about Form 990EZ. So what is the 990EZ? Well, first, let's talk about the whole 990 series. They are the annual compliance filings for nonprofits with the IRS. Many people call it a tax return. There's no tax associated with it unless you have unrelated business income tax. So I like to call it a compliance filing rather than a tax return. Included in this series is the 990EZ. And all of these forms ensure that organizations don't take advantage of their tax exempt status. They provide information not only to the IRS, but some states require that you have a copy filed with them, and the general public because of the public disclosure rules. Now, with all of these filings, we have lots of oversight by lots of audiences, and this ensures that each nonprofit organization is investing in their exempt purpose and doing what they said they would do, and that they're complying with all of the tax exempt rules and regulations so that they can remain tax exempt. So let's start off by talking about what's the difference between the different forms in the 990 series. The first and the easiest is the 990N. It's the postcard where your gross receipts are less than $50,000. There's certain entities that you cannot be, like a private foundation, a supporting organization, or a political organization. Those have different forms and you have to file those forms. The other form I'm going to talk about a little bit today is the 990, the full-blown one. This is kind of like the default form. If you're not required to file like a 990 PF because you're a private foundation or any of those other forms, or you don't qualify for the 990N or the 990EZ, that's the form that you file. That's the full-blown form that everybody's required to file. And then finally, the one we're talking about today is the 990EZ. And you would file this generally if you're not required to file another form like the private foundation or the political, the 1120 POL. And there's some size requirements because it's really geared towards smaller organizations. So you have to have gross receipts of $200,000 or less. Your assets have to be less than $500,000, and your real estate value has to be less than $600,000. You say, Sandy, that's kind of counterintuitive. How can our real estate value be between 500 and 600 and still allow us to qualify for this form? Well, most of the time our assets on our books are booked at cost basis. So the IRS is saying, okay, yeah, you may have total assets of less than 500,000, but if your real estate is valued, like if you sold it today for more than $600,000, you can't file this form. So just a little clarification. A couple other things. All of these forms are due on the 15th day of the 5th month following your fiscal year end. Now, for calendar year end, December 31, that's May 15th. That makes it easier. They all have an automatic 6-month extension. All the forms are required to be filed electronically. And if there are no filings for 3 years, you will automatically lose your tax exempt status. And most of these forms, including the 990EZ, have a late filed penalty associated with it. So let's get into the 990EZ. I want to talk about it specifically. It is basically a condensed version of the 990. There's only 6 parts versus the 990's 12. There's only 4 pages versus 12 pages. It doesn't have a statement of functional expenses, so you don't have to divide everything up between admin, program, and fundraising. There are fewer compliance questions. You still need to file additional schedules. For example, if you're a public charity, you're going to have to file Schedule A for the public charities test. If you're required to file Schedule B for your contributors or G for your events. Of course, there's Schedule O, my favorite schedule, which is the supplemental information where you get to go crazy. And then there's other schedules as well, just like the 990. But this really is a condensed version. The form itself has some general information. And then they ask for financial information, your revenue, your expenses, your assets, your liabilities, and your changes in your net assets. And then they ask for your top 3 program service accomplishments. They want you to tell them about your organization, what you're doing. This is your opportunity to brag. And this is what the Schedule O is really great for, because you can put tons of information in there. You can say, this is how many constituents we served this year. This is what we were able to do. Or maybe we didn't do so well this year because of this issue. People are going to read this and respond to it. So work with your marketing and your development team on how you want to put out the information, and work with your program team to get those key performance indicators in that description. This is really your opportunity to say what a wonderful organization you are and what you're trying to do. This section also wants to know what is the dollar amount of the grants that you gave out. So maybe you gave out, I had an organization who gave a car to a constituent. That would be included in there. Or maybe you gave a grant to another public charity. That would be included in there. And then, of course, they want to know the total expenses for each program service accomplishment. So you do have to break down your expenses by program service accomplishment. The next section is the officers and directors. You're going to list all the active officers and directors during the period of the 990. So if somebody came on in the middle of the year or dropped off in the middle of the year, they would be included in this list. We're going to want the name, the title, the average number of hours they worked. We need their compensation and benefits paid. And the first column, the compensation, we want W-2 wages reported on W-2s. So if you are a fiscal year end, say you're a June 30 year end, the W-2 that was issued for within that year, that was December, say you're a June 30, 2024, the 2023 W-2 wages would be included on the 990. And this is not going to match your salary and expenses that you reported for expenses for salaries in the expense section. And that's okay. That's what the IRS wants. They want to be able to match that up with the W-2s that were reported. Then the next section we have is other information. There's just lots of questions about changes in your activities, changes in your governing documents, questions that lead you to other schedules that need to be completed. And then if you're a public charity, there's some additional questions like, did you engage in lobbying? Are you a school? Did you transfer funds to another tax exempt entity that's not a public charity? And then you're required to list your 5 highest paid employees and 5 highest paid contractors, independent contractors that made $100,000 or more. So if you didn't have that, put none in that section and you're done. And that's the 990 easy. It's really a lot simpler than the 990. It's a great option for smaller organizations to meet their annual filing requirements. It's easier to understand and it's less costly to prepare. And I highly recommend that if you qualify for filing the 990 easy, that's the form that you file. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or other topics that you would like us to cover, please put those in the comment section below. We always appreciate those likes. And I want to do, I think I have time, a little quick commercial. We are launching our financial fluency group coaching. We are going to be having group coaching calls twice a month for an hour. And there's some other benefits in there too, like we will provide you with a QBO Simple Start subscription. There'll be a one-on-one session with me to help you get that set up or whatever else you want to do. And we're very excited about it. It's starting at the end of April, which is just in a couple of weeks. So if you haven't seen that, please put that in the comment section below and we'll be happy to send you some more information. I want to thank you for joining me today. And remember, creating a bigger impact starts with stopping the nonsense. If you're dealing with nonsense in your nonprofit organization, we'd love to help you cut through the noise.